All right, we're here with Josh Mason, who got 29th at the Cincinnati Regional. And what did you play?
Cosmos.
And why?
It's the #1 deck in the world right now, and I wanted my invite.
What makes you think that?
Because it's topping all over the world, making nationals.
All right, let's get into the deck profile.
Alright, so we'll start with the ships. 3 Dark Destroyers, self-explanatory. It's a floater, non-targetable, 3000 beat stick, really sets the deck off. One of the most broken cards in the game right now. 3 Slip Riders. I run 3 Slip Riders and no Twin Twisters because Slip Rider is my MST at Pop's back row, and I can go into it pretty much anytime I want. Plus it's a floater and 2300, which isn't bad. Only ship that's targetable.
Now, do you side Twin Twisters or do you not play them?
I do side 3 Twin Twisters in case I get matched up against a deck that's heavy on back row, so I'll have to give the Slip Riders more support. Back row destruction support. 2 Forerunners. Forerunners because it's a 2800 beat stick, it's another ship, it's a floater, it's untargetable, plus it helps you gain life. Since we spend a lot of life in this deck, it's good to have 2 of these in your deck, in my opinion, because it helps you get some of that life back that you spend to use effects on. 1 Kozmo Dark Eclipser. Eclipser, 3000 beat stick, non-targetable, and it's a searcher. Also, it can negate trap cards, which is really, really good. You can negate Call the Haunted, Cosmojo, you can negate Imperial Iron Wall, just can't negate counters. And it combos really good with Tin Can. That's all my ships. Getting to the pilots now that make the ships flow. 3 Cosmo Tin Cans. Cosmo Tin Can, self-explanatory. If you run straight Cosmos, you must run 3. If you don't, you're just an idiot. Just gonna say that right now. I would probably drop it down to 2 Tin Cans if you was gonna tag Cosmos with another type, like maybe Monarchs and Cosmos or something like that. But if you're gonna be like me and just run straight Cosmos, do 3 Tin Cans. Very, very good. Puts Cosmos in your graveyard, puts a ship in your hand. It's just really good. Highly recommend 3 Tin Cans if you're running straight Cosmos. I did run 3 Farm Girls, but I dropped it down to 2 because 3, it has limited effects to the card, so 3 kind of backfires on you a little bit if you run 3. It's just better to run 2. It's more efficient, makes the deck go faster if you just run 2. Plus Farm Girl is very OTK if you run it right. Must run it, and it's a pilot, of course. I did run 1 Wicked Witch, but I upped it to 2 to replace the 3rd Farm Girl. Wicked Witch is very good against a mirror, stops the OTK. It's just a 2-go card against mirror matches, in my opinion. Helped me a lot against my Cosmo mirror match today. And it's a pilot, 1900 beat stick, which is pretty good. Good Witch, I run Good Witch because 1800, which is good, pilot. And it can get over strong monsters. If you're in a situation where you can't get a ship out, you could always flip it face down with your effect and attack over it. Most of the time you'll be able to attack over their defense. Good card. Strawman, very OTK card if you run it right. Strawman's a pilot, you can banish it. You can special summon your banished ships with them, and then it blows the ship up, and then you can float the ships for another Cosmo out of your deck. Just really good. It works really good with Dark Destroyer if you combo it right with it. Sort Trooper. He's also a pilot, 1000 attack, which is, I think it should be higher, but 1000 is not bad. Sort Trooper will special summon pilots from your graveyard, which is really good because then you can banish them both for ships. Plus you get that other pilot special ability.
Do you see yourself upping the Trooper once the new support comes out?
I've been debating it. I'd have to field test it. 1 Trooper runs very, very good in this deck, but when the new support comes out, maybe. Just because of the new Darth Vader card coming out. It's a psychic and he can special summon them. So I might consider running 2 maybe. But I would have to field test and see how that would work.
Alright, let's get into the spell cards.
So that's all the pilots. Now the field card, or the spell cards. 3 Cosmo Towns. It's a must. If you don't run 3 Cosmo Towns, your deck's just not going to run as good. It's as simple as that. They give you draw power. They allow you to bounce banish Cosmos back to your hand. They, when it's destroyed, you get to search your deck for any Cosmo card. It's just a must. You just gotta run it. 3 Cosmo Towns. Did run 3 E-Tellies, but I got hit by the ban list down to 2, so I run 2 E-Tellies and replace the third one with 1-for-1. E-Telly, self-explanatory, it sets off the OTK. And 1-for-1, it just helps get a pilot on board. And for Tin Can, obviously, it's the only level 1 it can go for in the deck. And Tin Can's effect kicks when it's on the field.
And did you use the 1-for-1 today, or did it not come up?
I did use the 1-for-1 one time. I pitched Dark Eclipser for Tin Can, and then and then Tin Can's effect went off. And then I think I called the Haunted Dark Destroyer, because Tin Can sent Dark Destroyer to the graveyard, if I remember right. I think that was in my mirror match. I run 2 Dark Hole and a Regeki. I run heavy destruction because of my floaters. When my ships are destroyed, they float like crazy. Plus Dark Hole and Regeki blows up my opponent's field, so not only am I floating my creatures, but I'm also clearing their side of the field. If I'm up against another deck that also floats or relies a lot off the graveyard, then I'll just side these out for cards in my side deck to counter the deck, which I'll get into here in a second. I also run, I'll go ahead and skip over to a trap card, Torrential, to add on to the destruction. These 4 cards work great in my deck. It speeds it up and it floats really good with these 4 cards. And the last spell card, Reasoning. Every time I've played Reasoning, my opponent has not yet guessed right. They'll either say 8 or 3, and it's never 8 or it's never what they say. I always get a special summon off it. The only downfall is sometimes I might lose a Strike or I might lose a Cosmo Town, but in my opinion, it's worth it because you're getting a free pilot or you're getting a free ship. The odds for them to guess right's like 1 in 9 because you run literally every level 1 through 9 in the deck, except for 6. I do not run a level 6. But my opponent don't know that. They might think it might be Dogfighter or something and call it. Now to get into the traps, I run 3 Solemn Strikes plus a warning, so 4 Solemns total. Self-explanatory. It's a must. They're counters. They're the fastest cards in the game, so they can't be chained to unless it's another counter chaining to it. So they're unchainable pretty much, unless of course you have another counter, which the odds are slim that they do, to chain with. It stops monster effects, blows them up, stops summons. I mean, pretty self-explanatory. It does cost a lot of life to activate, but the reason I run 4 Solemns is because it improves my chances of drawing into a Solemn. So I run 4, I'm more likely to draw into 1 or 2 in a match. I have never drawn all 4 yet. I have drawn 3 before, but I've never drawn all 4. So to me, it's worth it to run 4. Increases your chances of getting them.
Now, has it came up when you've had the Solemns, you can't use them, or you've paid too much and you've lost because of it?
I have been in situations where I couldn't use them because my life was too low due to all the life spending from Cosmo monsters. I just use them as bluffs. I could put them face down, try to bluff my opponent, and then I usually go for Forerunner and try to get my life high enough to use them. But sometimes, you know, that does take a couple turns to do and it's too slow and it don't work out. But that is usually what I try to do if my life's too low to use them. I run 3 Cosmojos. Cosmojo, probably the best, definitely the best trap card in the deck. Blows up my own ship, which causes it to float, and it banishes my opponent's monster, or trap card, or a card from the grave. Banish anything on their field or grave. Really good. It's a must run 3. If you don't run 3, your deck won't function as good if you're running straight Cosmos. And last but not least, 3 Call the Haunteds. If you have ships in the graveyard, you can call the Haunted them. Their effects kick off, and then they turn into floaters. You can also call a Haunted a pilot to get a ship on board from your hand. Call the Haunted is excellent. It's a must. You must run 3. If you don't, it won't function as good. It'll be slower.
Alright, so did you go into your extra deck at all?
No, I did not go into my extra deck one time. And speaking of extra deck,
All right.
we'll go ahead and talk about
Just
it.
kind of flash it, since you really didn't use it, so it's not really...
Well, I run a number 77, a number 84, and a number 23. I run them for emergency situations in case I get matched up against an F-Zero, because this will out F-Zero. But I never did get matched up against F-Zero, surprisingly. Both Burning Abyss decks I faced were going into Beatrice over F-Zero for some reason. I thought that was kind of strange, which I did end up beating both of those decks. He's just another option in case I run into an emergency situation. Dark Destroyer's not, working for me. This is just a way to steal monsters. Nova and Infinity, just a way to get, outs on stuff that I'm having trouble against. That's pretty much all this extra deck is emergency situations to, stuff that my Cosmo monsters are not getting through. And then this is for Nova. If, let's say I have Nova in graveyard and my opponent plays Darkhold and I have a Call of the Haunted face down, I can play Call of the Haunted, special Nova, Darkhold blows up Nova, then this comes out by Nova's effect. But like you said, or like I said, I never did go into my extra deck once. Emergency situations, I could have went into the tournament with no extra deck and still got the same placement. Never once went into it.
Let's get into the side deck.
The side deck, I have a token for show. Don't even use tokens. 3 twisters, like I said earlier. It's extra support for Slip Rider if my opponent's running heavy back row. More destruction on back row. 3 Flying Seas, it locks down Burning Abyss and Phantom Knights. You gotta play it right though, because Burning Abyss does have outs, well, like 1 or 2 outs to Flying Sea, so you have to be careful when using Flying Sea. If you misplay it, then you just basically wasted your play. Anti-spells, mainly against Pendulums and maybe Monarchs, although I did not use it against Monarchs. Monarch, it will slow them down, but it does not really lock them up. That's why I didn't really use it, but it does lock down Pendulum. I did get matched up against Pepe today, and Anti-spell completely locked him up. He couldn't do anything. I ran him over. I destroyed him round 1, and then I stunned him with Anti-spell round 2. Obviously, system downs for the mirror match. Banishes all machine type monsters my opponent controls on the field and graveyard. This is perfect for the mirror match. Opens their field up for me. Last but not least, triple Mask Restrict for Monarchs. Completely shuts Monarchs down. You get Mask Restrict off on them and they have no twisters or anything like that. You got them. You won. Hands down. No way around it. Unless they draw into Twister or something, you got them. Since Monarchs is running the meta right now, Monarchs and Cosmos and Burning Abyss, you definitely want to side 3 Mask Restricts.
Is there anything in your deck that you would possibly change for the next tournament that you go to, or do you think it's as good as it's going to get?
Well, as of right now, I haven't really thought that far, but I'll probably keep it the same until the new Cosmo monsters are printed. And then I will do some field testing for Nationals. Try and make it better with the new Cosmo cards that are coming out.
All right, well, thanks for the deck profile.
Not a problem, and you all take care now. Hope this helps for all the Cosmo players.
All right, thanks.